Hello, and thank you for joining me on another episode of In the Trenches. Our guest today is a DP who is climbing the ranks of Nashville. I see his work everywhere. It's stunning, and it caught my eye. But before we get into the episode, I want to remind y'all, please like, share, and subscribe. So without any further ado, Tyler Oaks. Tyler Oaks.
How's it going,
DP
Spidey?
extraordinaire in the house.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me on,
I
dude.
appreciate you driving up here to be here.
Heck yeah.
It's been a little while of me noticing your work on Instagram to get you finally in here, and I think I bumped into you on my homie's Edgar Evans shoot.
Yeah.
And if I stop by a set, typically there's a little reason for it,
Sure.
and one of them was to see what you were doing and how you were doing it. I have
spying on me a little bit.
Absolutely, a little
Let's
recon.
go.
I
Nice.
come in, show my love.
There you go, just hanging
How's
out in the
he handling
background.
these situations and stuff like that. But man, that video came out really cool. So
Yeah. No, I mean, I was super pumped with everything we shot. I thought it was a really great story.
And I start to see your images popping up here and there a lot more frequently. So that's been nice, right? Have you been noticing kind of a shift, somewhat, maybe a trajectory in the climbing of the ladder?
I think so, a little bit, especially, I joined the union back in 22, and that was a pretty, it was a big step.
Yeah, it's a milestone.
And I knew it was like, it was going to probably ruffle some feathers, but, I was, had LA on the mind, and I was like, the central market region is super easy to kind of jump into. So I was like, no, it feels good. And since then it's been, I've once the pandemic hit, I had, all that time to like really hone in and be like, okay, what's the goal? Cause I started in film back in 2017, 2018, like started.
Really?
Yeah. And so, the pandemic hit, 2 years later.
And how old are you? You're 25.
Yeah. Yeah.
Big boy. Yeah. You're like me. You got into it young.
Yeah. I mean, once I knew,
Love it.
Yeah. Once I knew that, I was like, oh yeah, movies, this is it. Like, this is tight. I just, I remember the first time I set up a shot, and it was like, I was doing it and I was like, oh, if I put the mic in the foreground, what does that mean? I didn't even know what foreground was, but I was like, oh, that's kind of nice. And so like ever since then, I just dove in and just, yeah. And so during the pandemic, I had all this time to like sit and think, and then, I was working as an AC and gripping. So coming up through camera and Janie as much as I could, just because I wanted to understand.
You came up through the crew ranks.
Yeah.
Learning it the raw way experience.
Yeah, coming up under dudes like, Josh Boyd and Chris Adams and I interned at Gear 7, and they gave me a wide range of experience and just understanding, which was super helpful. But
you have all the gear in town.
I got all the toys, yeah.
You get to learn them all.
Yeah, no, it was great. But yeah, it's, and I would definitely say in the last little bit, there's been a really cool projection. And
you can say
forward.
it. You can
it
flex.
feels good. It's
Come
exciting.
on.
It's exciting.
Yeah, this is the space for you to feel good.
Yeah.
And it's not bragging when you're busting your ass and you're sitting across from someone who wants to dote on you, dude. It's hard to make a splash, and it's hard to get recognized or seen or have your work seen or how to get it through the fog.
Yeah, there's just so much stuff out there.
And it's demoralizing.
Yeah.
So when you do have it, flex.
Yeah. Well, it was, it's like when I did that Kelsey video with Patrick Tracy, that project was a culmination of a lot of years of hard work that I really kind of put into there. And I had such an amazing team, Drew Frazier gaffed that for me. And I had CK Cates and Kip on camera, and Sam Willie was operating, and just, it was such a great team, and like.
Were you nervous?
Oh yeah, dude.
Explain that. Like, what's the video real quick?
Sure.
We're going to zoom ahead.
Yeah.
It is, by the way, not uncommon for us to go to the end of your life, and then 10 minutes now we'll go to the beginning.
Let's do it. Yeah, no worries. Yeah, so it was the How Do I Do This video. And so it was kind of the tail end of the like narrative series that Patrick did with Dylan and Nick.
Okay.
It was kind of like the final chapter of that like narrative series that Kelsey was doing, So I'd admired Patrick Tracy's work for forever. Like, unbelievable director. So I was like, okay, here we go, right? And so, and then with someone as big as Kelsey is right now, like that culminated that. And then they had shot
it's
that
beauty.
whole, I mean, it's
a
like
specific thing.
Yeah. And like, Kelsey's work and everything that she has, it's like, it's really soft, really pretty and very specific, and because she has such a specific vision, which was also such a breath of fresh air to work with someone like Patrick and Kelsey who really knew what they wanted out of it. Yeah. That was sick. I felt like I knew exactly where to go and how to take what they wanted and bring it. But it
takes out the guesswork.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because, but yeah, dude, I mean, that was there was a lot of pressure but it was just that, I surrounded myself with people who are just unbelievably talented. So I knew that I had people behind me that were going to be there for me.
Yeah, I'd be nervous if you said you weren't.
Oh,
nervous.
Dude. Yeah, that'd be crazy.
You weren't like getting up like 3 hours before your alarm clock.
Oh, dude. I think, I woke up probably at 4 a.m. that day.
So where did your love for, where let's go back now real quick. Where did your love what sparked this love for making visuals?
It's funny. I think the first recollection I have of ever watching a movie was going to the theater to see Revenge of the Sith.
Revenge of the Sith?
Yeah, Star Wars. Episode 3.
Can I tell you something? Yeah. You know what mine is?
What?
I remember going to the movie theater with my mom seeing Return of the Jedi.
That's amazing. That's so sick.
Right.
Dude, it's amazing.
I have in my notes Return of the Jedi.
Incredible. Yeah, and it's and so like saw that. And then I think on my 5th birthday, I was able to watch Lord of the Rings. And ever since then, every year, we watch The Fellowship on Halloween, Return of the King, or Two Towers on Thanksgiving, and Return of the King Christmas. And we've done that ever since. So like, I had always had this strong love for movies in my whole family. Like that was just something we always did. We always had Christmas movies. We always had summer movies. Like it was always a huge thing. But the idea of working in film or like working in video was never anything in my mind until about 16. Prior to that, I was going to do
16 years old.
Yeah. Prior to that, I was going to do like diagnostic medicine or working in like the FBI. Yeah. Like just like completely not even in the same wheelhouse whatsoever. Those were just things I never like got very deep in it, but that was like, okay, I want to do something like, I want to kind of like, do some mystery work, like detective work in some way.
All right.
But when I was, 16, I came home from McKay's with like, I don't know, $150 worth of movies from like the 50 cent bin.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, yeah. And I brought them all home and I was laying them out on the countertop. My dad walks by and he was like, I feel like movies so much. Why don't you make them? That was it.
Gnarly.
Yeah, that was it. I'd never thought about it before.
Actually, so then you just started to research how to make a movie, or who's making them. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
I guess you do. I mean, I got to think. Like, I didn't have the internet at my fingertips, so you
100%.
So you were probably YouTube Gen, and you were just like, how to make
a little bit. My dad's best friend, Steve Vidano, is a director out of Colorado. They're best friends, and so when I was like, film is cool, he reached out to Steve. And Steve brought my dad and myself out to Israel for a short film for the Museum of the Bible. And I was like a second AC camera PA for a DP named Charlie Balch.
That had to do something.
That was, we shot, I can't remember what red camera it was, but we shot on red with Todd AO anamorphics, like original housing Todd AOs. So like, I mean, they're not, that thing with
cannons.
Oh yeah, the thing with Edgar was on the Neos from Nashville camera. Okay. But so that was the first experience that I had ever on like a huge set. And that was back in 2017. And during kind of that time as all that was happening, I was, reaching out to the Lipscomb Film Program, trying to understand a little bit more. And I was on YouTube, like researching some stuff of like, what are cameras you can buy? What can you get? And so I ended up getting a GH4 for my 18th birthday. Nice. Yeah. And just ripping on that. And but yeah, it was, that intro, it felt so organic the way that it transitioned. It was just like door, avenue, connect. Like it flowed super easily.
And where
I'm very
was
thankful.
this?
This was in Nashville.
Nashville. So you grew up here?
No, I grew up in Seattle.
Seattle.
I've been here for 16 years.
Whoa. What era were you in Seattle? What age? What years?
I was from when I was born, so 98 to 2008. So I was 9.
Yeah. There's a cool little vibe there, music vibe there.
Oh, yeah. No, it's fun. But yeah, my dad's a guitar player and producer.
Oh, okay.
So we moved from Seattle to Nashville for that reason.
Makes all the sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why it was so, I know a lot
Yeah.
of people have a hard time with parents in the arts, but my dad, moving us out to Nashville to follow his dream, it's like there was no, like, both of my parents were so wildly encouraging in that transition.
I mean, that's how it would be for this family. I mean, if opportunity, hey, you're going to go be this sports star's exclusive photographer for 3 years, you need to move to that city.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
It's what we do,
Yeah.
and that's what makes this family kind of work, is that, like I was saying before, when you got here, like I get a phone call for 3 days, go to Europe for 12 days.
Oh, yeah.
Within a moment's notice, you're gone.
Yeah.
What is your favorite movie then? What is your favorite movie right now?
Right now, that's such a good... I mean, a movie that I've been obsessed with is either Past Lives or Iron Claw.
Okay.
Yeah. Just as of right now, recently. I mean, like, if we were to talk about probably my all-time favorite movie that sticks out every time is The Secret Life of Walter Mitty.
Oh, okay. I love that movie.
Yeah. I have the life motto is on the back of my business cards.
Oh, really?
Yeah. To see the world, things dangerous to come to see behind walls, to draw closer, to find each other, and to feel. That is the purpose of life. Oh. Yeah. And that to me has been, just that in and of itself has been such a foundation for how I approach everything. And I think that movie and that quote are the reason why I'm where I'm at now.
Sure. Do you feel that Nashville is a bit oversaturated with, I would say, DPs, but I mean, in a way, it's almost too specific?
Sure.
It feels like, I mean, I want the podcast to lead more towards conversation than me just ask questions,
Yeah.
And like when I think of Nashville as of late, I feel like it would be frustrating as a DP to be labeled as such, because what I admire and how I put a DP on such a pedestal, I feel like that has been diluted over the years because of a number of things. It's not just one thing.
Yeah.
But it's budgets and time and...
Yeah. Well, I mean, cameras are so, like, they're so powerful.
Exactly.
For not a much
technology,
money.
you can now, you don't need as much light. And now I feel like DPing is more of an operational thing, or how do you move the camera and, versus all this lighting and stuff.
Yeah, it feels more technical. And that's, I guess, kind of a question I have for you is, like, how have you seen it kind of change over the years of, like, with the revolution of, digital cinematography and LED and all that? Like, how have you seen that relationship between a director and a DP shift, specifically in Nashville, of, like, going from the art of storytelling and, diving into the song and figuring out what that meant versus then just being like, okay, we have 6 hours and we have $5,000.
Sure.
What's the prettiest thing you can make for, like, 2 lights and a, Komodo?
It's a great question. So to start, like, coming up or doing my I was on film for all of those shows. Big.
Yeah.
And you needed lights.
Yeah.
And you needed a lot of lights.
Yeah.
So when digital came around, I was apprehensive to use it because I knew what I knew. Sure. And then when I started to use digital, it was red because Alexa wasn't out, if you remember, and I wasn't going to shoot a 5D.
Yeah.
And it was clunky and heavy, and it would overheat, and you would try to handhold it and you'd back into something and it would turn off. And so then all of a sudden I was like, well, let's just do what I know. Yeah. And so I would lock it off like we did film cameras. Why would you lock off film cameras? Because you had light right here. Your style when you were shooting film was a bit, in music videos, you was a bit more locked off and let the action happen because you could contain your light. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So all that to be said, as we finally moved into Alexa, where I'm like, wow, this camera can breathe. Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of latitude to this shit. And with the advent of budgets, I started, and a lot of people did, and I don't know if I caught wind of it. I mean, is where you would design your videos, your projects around the light that was happening.
Yeah.
You know, exteriors, interiors. You would make your treatments so that you would have interiors.
Yeah.
For a certain part of the day, so you can shoot inside, and then when it got tasty, you go outside.
Well, and you
can
were
use those
locked in with your 500T stock. You can't just pop it out halfway and go to 50D.
Exactly.
Like, you're in here.
Exactly.
I feel like what I've noticed in my time is that as much freedom as digital cinematography gives us, it's kind of like just shooting a music video all on Steadicam. Like,
I don't.
Once you throw it on a Steadicam, then you're just zooming around and there's no purpose, right?
And
so
I
the
hate
same,
that.
it doesn't feel intentional anymore. There's a time and a place for Steadicam.
You just take your seven best rad Steadicam moves, put them on in your edit. That one. Or that jump. That one.
Yeah, line them all up, chop them, and then condense.
It's not exactly it. It doesn't have. So, look, if you look at my work, hey Troy, how often do we have Steadicam?
Not recently.
I don't typically.
Yeah.
I don't typically, unless it's the idea and the creative warrants it.
Yeah.
The locations warrant it. But really, I like... And so all that to be said, where my trajectory went, when I finally figured out how to embrace the technology, it was lights out. Because now my work had something that I hadn't really had through all of my film. And that was this really raw movement.
Yeah.
To how we were moving the camera with we had the easy. Now we have the easy rigs. I mean, Chris Probst and I. Do you know Chris Probst, the DP?
Oh yeah.
We were in the desert. Chris, I love you. I hope you hear this. We were in the desert out in shooting a video, and we had 400-foot mags on a Arri 435 with original Todd AOs. No, I mean, he was leaning over on low mode, and it looked like his spine was going to pop out.
Oh, dude,
it was
I'm sure.
Crazy.
Yeah.
So anyway, to finally move the camera and to whip around, and I remember the DP that I used, and I love him, and I can't wait to have him on the podcast. We talk all the time.
Yeah.
Dustin Lane.
Oh, dude, Dustin's amazing. Yeah.
Yes. And we started to work together on a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And he specifically gave me something I have not seen my work have. And it was these highlights that were just, I couldn't explain it. It's just something that he, at that time, or was doing uniquely. It was really cool the way he moved the camera, whipped the camera. It was just really awesome with the talent. Anyway.
Love that.
That was... and still kind of is where I'm at in my motion visuals, because I really do enjoy the freedom of not having all these obstacles for either me or DP movement and or the blocking, just letting it explore.
But you have this restraint in your mind. You have this, like, you aren't just, like we said, on a Steadicam just fishing around.
No,
like,
can't.
Yes, you have this great tool with all of this capability, but you still are being very intentional and being very restrained and being very specific. And I think that's probably true for all of these new, like, technologies and discoveries. It's, you know, whether it's AI, whatever, it's like incredible. I'm glad we have the tool. Find the restrained version, so this doesn't just run rampant and we kind of lose sight of, like, the art of kind of what we do.
Well, I mean, don't you think we kind of have lost the art? I mean, here's a guy who got into it just by watching MTV.
Sure.
I'm hearing from a lot of my guests, you guys came up studying or learning from YouTubers and guys. I'm like, what? That doesn't even make sense. You know, like, you didn't study videos? No, I don't. It wasn't a thing.
Yeah.
You know, so it really was. I mean, I'm not saying it's not artful now, not at all.
Yeah.
But it does feel like the art goers are swimming upstream. They're fighting the current.
It's definitely harder.
Yeah. I mean, the current is just, if you want to go the current way, is just go do selfie TikTok things or whatever
it's
it is.
content versus
And that's one of my questions. But I mean, do we feel that? And I started this question that we're oversaturated now.
Yeah.
Image makers, we started by saying DPs, right? And we flipped it around on me, where I'm like, well, gosh, now it's like content creators are coming off of now they are thinking they're DPs.
Sure.
And that maybe they get put in a position because they're friends of the person.
Sure.
You know, where, and all that to be said, where does the art take center stage?
Yeah, I mean, I it's a tricky thing because, like, I think, like, the biggest regret that I've had over my career is the amount of times that I have shit talked anybody, any creative, like, you know, slandered them in any way. And so, like, you know, I want to give, you know, those, if they're making beautiful images, like, I want to encourage them to do so and follow that. But I think that, you know, I do wish there was a little bit more of, like, you know, it is such an art, you know, cinematography, and I love the learning process. I love the journey. I love the education of it, the science, you know, and I wish that there was a world for, you know, the content creators, and there was a world for cinematographers, and there wasn't as much. Like, the collaboration is awesome. Like, there can be bleed, but I wish there was a little bit more of, like, this is this and this is this, and one's not better than the other necessarily. Like, you're still making great things, I'm making great things, but, like, it's right now, it's, you know, when I'm, you know, trying to shoot a video or pitch myself or whatever, it's like, sure, I'm here, but they have this, you know, person who's got, you know, an FX3 and can do it all in themselves, and, you know, they can kind of run in, get everything, and for, you know, the label or you know, the management team and the artists, it's like they just need the content, and they'd rather get 10 projects instead of just one. And so that's been, you know, the hardest part about the last years. It's like,
that's the hardest part to everything.
All kind of come into one thing. And that river you're talking about, it really feels like it's the content river, and anyone trying to do anything else is swimming upstream in it.
Yeah, because ultimately, not feeding the machine is the obstacle that they don't want to happen.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
You have to feed the machine, you know, and nowadays you have the big line item. Let's just say it's a music video.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
Seems to me it would be the biggest line item.
Yeah, you'd hope so.
But now you got 4 other assets to capture.
Yeah.
That same day.
Yeah.
At the big day.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Yeah.
And it takes away resources, time.
Yeah.
All the things.
Well, and typically
that.
The team and the artists, like, want to prioritize those things the most because, you know, they see with TikTok and stuff that that's where you get the views, you know. And so it's like, on the day when you've got this great story, you've got all this momentum, and they're like, hey, like, we want to use this, like, can we, like, stop all this and shoot this for, like, an hour? And you just kind of lose all that momentum. Everything that the director and I are doing, you know, all that we were building on, we have to take it back, stop, and then we lose this or lose that. You know, it's, yeah, I wish there was a degree of separation between the two things.
Maybe that separation is commercials.
Yeah. Yeah.
I say that.
Sure.
But there's the same crux there.
Yeah.
In my opinion, again, I can speak of it because I lived it. Commercials took a lot of that, back in the day, it took a lot of inspiration from videos.
Yeah.
It was a thing. Like, it was an actual thing. Like, I did Good Charlotte Girls and Boys, and it became a T-Mobile commercial.
Nice.
Like, they put it
at
the idea with old people and do all that stuff. On the topic of content and lack of intention, I wonder, just discussion only, has it changed? Because it's all just murky. It's all just there. And no one knows where to really grab from. I'm sure there's a thing, a needle in the haystack or two, but, you know, as a whole, you know, I wonder if it's changed.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that film in general has changed, like just especially with, you know, the internet and stuff. And I think commercial work hasn't taken as much of a hit as the music video world. You know,
I mean, because we're always selling.
Yeah.
Is that why?
But I think that there's still this preservation of this broadcast idea of, you know, of broadcasting a spot on during The Voice and during the NFL games, and, you know, and people still watch that at least horizontally. And so that,
but the one person, the one DP who got to shoot it, it's like doing album covers, you know. Yeah, I'll do your one album cover for the next 2 years.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. You know, I'm talking about work. You know, sustaining work in a business where, you know, there will always be big jobs. There's always got to be that.
Yeah.
You know?
No, I do see.
It's about, you know, looking at the landscape, and you can't help but to notice. I'm just speaking from DP standpoint.
Yeah.
And I can certainly say it from a photographer, so it's the same
Sure.
thing.
Yeah.
Whoa.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
No, I mean this last year
There's
has been
some humbling shit out there that you're like, God, how do I fit out here?
Yeah. I mean,
how can I exist?
Yeah, I'm 25. I'm young. I got a lot to learn, and I've got a lot to like prove, you know, all the things. And when there's a lot less work, you know, I'm going up against absolutely incredible people with huge, huge, huge resumes. I don't have that, you know.
Yeah, let's dive into that. That's psychological for sure. I mean, that's a bit of a mind fuck if you ask me. You know, to wake up every day. No, I mean, but by the way, it's no different. I mean, as a director, it's like just trying to get, you know, someone to take notice.
Yeah,
believe in you.
Yeah,
take you on a crazy journey.
Yeah,
but I mean, Patrick did, right?
Yeah,
weren't you stoked on?
Yeah,
when that relationship started.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then it's growing, and it will continue to grow on bigger jobs, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, that was you know, that was one of the probably the cooler moments of like feeling recognized. It's like, you know, I think it was like, I don't know, month and a half, 2 months before that, I was talking with Trent Millspa, and we were talking about directors that we'd always wanted to work with, and I mentioned Patrick. You know,
you put it out there.
Yeah, but and then it happened, and so that was a cool recognized moment. You know, but since October of last year, it's been rough. And, you know, it's a lot of cattle call jobs. You know, we have producers being like, hey, it's you and, you know, 3 other DPs. I'm like, okay. And I've probably lost, you know, I don't think I've won any of them.
So is it a numbers game to you? Do you just say, you know, are these all just local? Are you trying to go out to different directors in different cities?
Yeah, I mean,
you know, my wife says it all the time, and at a certain point, you're like, dude, you know what I mean? It's so easy to just say it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me just get on the horn here, and
yeah.
You know,
I mean, I DM people constantly, just of like directors and you know, even DPs of just work that I admire.
That's cool.
I just reach out and say, hey, love it. I never I'm like, hey, you should hire me. I just want to be like, hey, I love your work. It's great. If anything comes from that, great. But like, you know, it's more just, I try to reach out. I'd love to branch out into other markets. You know, it's been tricky, you know, with less work as a whole.
No, let me throw a really weird thing.
Sure.
At you.
Do it.
You know, we didn't get into agents and stuff yet. We will, but you know, let's take the matter into our own hands for a second.
Okay.
Right. It's frustrating, and you know, getting people to discover you and to trust you and stuff.
Yeah.
Could you use social media better? Is there a way to put you out there so that someone can get it? I mean, is that where we're at now? I'm asking that.
I think for me, it's not the way to go because of how I struggle with social media, just as an anxiety standpoint. Like I don't know. I don't think that
I have that. Yeah. Dude. I have a mess. Dude, fuck, dude.
Yeah. I just don't think that I at least this time in my life, just where I'm at mentally, I don't think that I can put myself as much out there. I think that I'm constantly comparing myself. And if I try to put myself out there and present myself in just this way, I think that it's a wildly helpful tool. And I think it's great for the people that have the ability to do so. And, you know, I know that everyone struggles with, I mean, having a personality more or less online with everybody judging you constantly. I can't imagine. It must be absolutely brutal.
It's giving me anxiety right now.
So I got off Instagram for probably 4 months. I just deleted it, and I had my friend check it once a day for messages for me.
Just see if I got a job.
Yep, that was it. But I had to get off. I've gotten a bit better now. I'm kind of back on it. I'm going through them. I tried to start celebrating people instead of
hating them. Were you a hater?
And
Are you a hater?
not necessarily.
We all hate.
I
We all
just
hate.
got I would get envious of work.
And then it wouldn't
And then
put
I
a
would
positive thing in your...
and then I would
yeah.
start to judge
Yes,
that
I
individual. So if I
understand
got envious of a DP, that envy would then turn into how I thought about them. Mm-hmm. And then
It's not fair.
no, not at all. Not at all. Because I would hate it if someone did that to me.
Absolutely.
So then I was like, okay, if they're in Nashville, I'm going to go meet them. And then I did. And then like now
And it
we're
became
great
a buddy,
friends.
and you were-
yeah.
yeah, you're
There's
like,
one dude who he and I both unfollowed each other multiple times and then started hanging out. Now we climb together all the time. Like we're good friends. Came to my half birthday party that my wife threw for me. So now I'm just like, okay,
That's fun.
yeah, you just have to get to know the human being. And so that's why like I kind of wanted to take a step back from social media because I wasn't viewing people as human beings. I was just viewing them in the framework of what their internet persona or whatever was and taking my insecurity and projecting it onto them and then creating this terrible.
You're one of bazillions, including myself. I mean, we all have done it. I've gotten really... I feel like I've gotten pretty good at myself now to where I'm just like... I have my days where if I do a... No, wait. I'm not good at the caption part. Posting the photo or the work, that's easy.
Dude, I just
But
put the
people-
title
I
and
know,
the
but
credits
people have
and I'm
got-
like, all right.
people have been like, I love your backstory. I love your stories. And I'm like, oh, okay. You know, and you're posting about these people and, you know, you're just like, okay, how intimate do I want to be? But I want it to be special, you know? So I struggle with that typically. But then for a while, you know what I did? I would delete the app.
Yeah.
Right after I did a post.
Yeah, no, I did that. I did that. I would download it during that time. I would download the app, post everything because I was going to make them post this whole thing.
Yeah, and then
delete it, and then refuse to check it.
Yeah, I just get back into it in like a week. Yeah. Cool. All right, cool. Yeah.
Because it's just such a so.
I know what you're saying because I will say this, even as someone who hires DPs and who, you know, I appreciate DPs on a very, I understand their world creatively pretty well.
Sure, yeah.
And I've said this to you, Troy. I know I have. Good God, everything looks the same.
Oh, yeah.
What? Oh, are we in the anamorphic phase? Are we in the vintage phase? Are we in the sphere? Oh, we're in the natty phase. Are we in the, you know? Yeah. And it got and everything looks so fucking good. I can't lie. Yeah. Everything looks so good.
And I think that's probably maybe the most frustrating part about it is it's like there's no excuse for anyone to not do it. Like if you're, and it's the hard thing as artists, we're like, oh, well, a $5,000 budget for a whole team is zero money.
Oh.
But we as artists are like, well, I can't do a bad job. I'll never sleep again. Like I can't make this look terrible.
Yeah.
Because then, is that what people are going to... So then I go all out and I try so hard.
Overachieve.
And then the label's like, great, that's what we do for $5,000 now. And I'm like, shit. But what's the... I don't know.
I've been saying that for years to all of y'all. Like, there's gonna come a point when the rubber's gonna meet the road.
Yeah.
And you're gonna be like, wait a minute. Hey, guys. Everybody keeps looking at me as like I'm a cheap guy.
Yeah.
Because you're the cheap guy.
Yeah.
You're the cheap guy.
Yeah.
And you're the guy who's willing to do it for pennies on a dollar.
Yeah.
And you know damn well they've got it.
Yeah.
So
that was part of the hard part about this last year is I'm not going to sit here and say that I've turned down every job under a certain day rate because I have bills to pay. But like I've been a bit more of a hard ass about rates.
Yeah.
And I've always been worried that it's going to come off as arrogant just because of how young I am.
Isn't arrogant? Wait. Arrogant's not the right word. Professional is a wonderful word to
sure.
use. Seasoned would be a wonderful word.
I'm worried that it seems arrogant.
Your outlook is wrong.
Sure.
It's just, for me, if you said that and you asked me a bunch of questions, it sounds like you're seasoned. I remember, Jonathan Sella, the DP?
Yeah.
It was a job he was doing. It was a rad moment in our relationship. We had done 15 jobs. And all of a sudden, on a travel job, I was up in Toronto or Vancouver, and I'm like, yo, I got this job. And he was in his soft Israeli voice. Yes, can I see the locations, please? Why? Basically, he wanted to know if it was going to be worth his time.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because he was going to move hell and high water, by the way. He had to leave, jump on a plane to Seattle, then get down to Sheryl Crow. It was going to be a thing.
Sure.
Point to the story is he had grown to a point to where his time is valuable, and every job he does, he wants to move the needle.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's what I see when a creative goes toe-to-toe, and I mean toe-to-toe in the most honorable way.
Of course.
Hey, blah, 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 blah. Wow, Troy, they really ask a lot of good questions. I don't know. Let me get back. There's never me going, I don't even know. I don't even know how to compute that.
Yeah.
But I know what you do.
Yeah.
I mean, I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Your mind does. You think of something and it shuts it down.
Yeah. I mean, because I genuinely do think that I'm worth what I pitch. It's not that I'm just trying to get a good money grab. It's like the time that I put in, the equipment that I own.
You don't have to justify shit to me. Your work justifies that.
Well, I appreciate
you know what I mean? Like,
of course.
And that's I mean, shit. I've worked with some of the best.
Yeah.
Your work is fantastic. And I want to get into that. We got to do all that mumbo jumbo. Okay. I mean, it's important for DPs to know this, though. Yeah. Getting into this field, because I've even said, I think being a DP, now I wouldn't necessarily say that exactly right now in this time. Sure. But definitely about 5 years ago, I was pushing the needle on it. But I was like, man, being a DP is the best job in filmmaking.
Sure.
It is the best.
I personally still feel that way.
You know? But with every, I have some reasons to, I mean, here, I was go off script. Yeah. One of the things that is real hard for me, I mentioned this on other episodes, is I'm just one of those guys that just loves control.
Sure.
And if we're going to get in the trenches, you like that?
Oh, that was nice.
I want to know it's going to be followed through to the end.
Sure.
And as a DP, and I've dabbled in it plenty.
Yeah.
To know that even as much as you want to be, hey, I'm ready for the edit. You can send it to me. I'd love to be there for, we're going to color over here. Ooh, really? Really? You're going to use him? I can get my guy. No, we want to,
Yeah.
And then when you get your product back, you're like, okay. It's not what I imagined.
Sure.
Do you handle that? Or do you,
yeah. I mean,
that was never always the best for me.
Sure. I think my perspective on it is if I wanted, as a DP, if I wanted control, I should go into directing.
Okay. There you go.
So you've worked out for you.
Okay. So you've worked out the compartmentalization to say, the package has been delivered. Yeah. Now I'm gonna let you know to contact me at anything you want. I'm here for you. I'll look at any stills. I'll be there when you want me to.
I'm not gonna fight you on this whole. You are bringing a project to me.
Yeah.
It's your vision. My job is to bring that vision to life visually with 100% of your input.
Now, go.
Oh, I was just gonna say, because that's the relationship. If I wanted to control it, I should move into directing. But my job. And I'm not going to say that I get frustrated or will be like, absolutely, can I maybe have 15 minutes and show you something else?
Sure. That's collaboration. Now, what do you say, and I've heard this chatter a lot, and we hear it a lot in Nashville, with some of these content guys stepping into the directing platform.
Yeah.
And very talented and eager DPs have created these pretty awesome projects where, is the director saying, and I've heard it before, just do your thing.
Yeah.
Do your thing. Which means basically do it.
Yeah.
Right? Are you noticing that at all?
Some. I think yes. I mean...
are you noticing the craftsmanship on set with these younger filmmakers having the wherewithal and keeping it moving?
Absolutely. I do. I think I've worked, I just recently did a short film. I wrapped it last night at 3 a.m. Right. And she's a young director, first short, but she knew exactly what she wanted. She was very precise, which is great. I don't want to direct. on set. It's not my job.
Yeah.
And I love it when people have their vision. And so I'm not going to say that, no, not at all. I think that there's so many young people that
Would you stand your ground if somebody came and they were like, when someone's just, would you be like, so where do you want me to put the camera? How do you want the blocking to be?
Or do you 100%. No, I'm not, again, it's their scene. I'm like, where would you like the blocking? And I go, and I say, okay, great. Is it okay if we shift them here for the key?
Got it.
If not, it's my job to move the key, to work with Jeannie to light it so that that can happen. If it's going to take 45 minutes, then I'll be transparent. I'll be like, hey, it's going to take 45 minutes, but if this is something, and this is kind of my phrase, if this is something that you want to do, we can do it. Doesn't mean that I'm necessarily agreeing, but again, it's not my job to tell you no, ever, ever. It is just my job to be like, hey, I'd probably do it this way. This is probably here, but if you want to do it, absolutely. Because again, it's like I will maybe make a counter offer.
Counter offer.
Here, I'll put in my
I love it.
my offer. But like again, I'm not gonna if once that initial thing, and if you say no, then it's over.
Have you ever had a nightmare on set?
Of course.
I've had one.
Of course.
In Australia.
That's tough.
With a huge DP.
Tough.
He had said something to my directing partner on Good Charlotte because Frank came over and adjusted the camera a little bit and was like, yeah, cool. And he had snapped. And I think it was a long flight or whatever.
Sure. Yeah.
I went right over and solved that problem. I remember it. I won't say what I said. And I remember Good Charlotte, all the guys clapping because they were like, I'm like, what the hell are you clapping for? They go, well, when you clap, we know it's going to be, when you go off on something, we know it's going to be a good set. I'm like, oh, great.
Yeah.
Anyway, you've had issues
I've had
where
a
it's just
couple.
the personality, the it just isn't clicking. You do your job, you get it done.
Absolutely. And again, it's like, there was one job where it was that same, it was mostly that sense. It was like, if this is something you want to do, we can do it.
You go into the job and your meal, or is it for the meal or for the real meter?
Yeah,
your
kinda,
real meter is like, you get to lunch, you're like, whoa. It gets after lunch.
And then it turns straight to rent money, and you're just like, listen, let's whatever you want to do, let's do it. There's times to pick your battles, of course.
Of course. I have a fun thing. So
Okay.
Natty Light.
Okay.
Less footprint.
Yeah.
Create, explore. Less restrictions, but you have less tools. Versus big lights, big production, lots of whistles, but a big flex. Which do you prefer?
That's a good question.
It's a good one.
It's a good question. I like it because it really
because it's ego and it's the flex, but whistle. Nope, doing wrong. Foul. Versus
the freedom. Of course, I would like
I
to
wanted
say
to
that
end
there's.
with this, but I thought this would be a good one.
Yeah, sure. I want to say that there's like this sweet middle ground.
No, you got to make a decision.
I think that in the sense of why I do what I do, I'd rather do the first because I want to be proud of what we did and I want to collaborate. And if I feel like I'm not collaborating and I feel like I'm just a tool, like that just doesn't do anything for me. Like I'm not ever going to be proud of what we do. I want to be proud of. I want to feel like we told a story. I want to feel like we made someone feel something. And if it's like if we're constantly just battling that, and no one's collaborating and no one's on the same page, I feel like no one's going to be happy with it. It's like, okay, sure, it's rent money, whatever. But like, I'd rather like I did this. Literally, it was just the director and I. It was yesterday, so I had this shoot and then the 8-hour short film, and it was the director, myself, and the artist at Nelson's Drum Shop, and that was it. And we just ripped, and it was so fun.
It's great.
It was fun. Now, do I wish I could have lit it and had crew? Of course, absolutely. Like it would have been nice.
Are you saying that after the fact that you've already had elation, and of course you can say, "Well, I can do better."
Well, no, because I think that I just would rather have hung out with more of my friends.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's funny you say that. Troy, are you on mic? I don't even know. We're working on this stuff. But if Troy were to be talking, I mean, how many times have I said that is all I care about on my jobs? So everybody's, oh, why aren't you doing these big this? I started off on a decade and change of doing those shows. Maybe having kids, made me reflect, but I look back and I was like,
Yeah.
I was just kind of reverse engineering what my peers were doing.
Sure.
And I wasn't using the craft to my advantage.
Yeah.
I wasn't, not to my advantage, to the responsibility
Sure.
to the craft. Like I was just doing to do. And I took a sabbatical. I ducked out
Yeah.
to relearn. It was also during the change of technology.
Sure. Yeah.
But I had to figure out what kind of production I wanted to live in.
Yeah.
And that is why you will see from that moment
yeah.
to now, you will absolutely, from the job I did 2 weeks ago, nothing has changed because our jobs are fun.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone has a great time.
Yeah.
We get shit done.
Yeah. Make pretty art.
Beautiful imagery for what we have.
Absolutely.
Everyone is using the best of their brain.
Yeah, absolutely.
I include everyone to be collaborative and use the right channels to inspire them to not just be a body on set.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's fun. That's amazing.
Yeah. It's what makes I feel like this job the best in the world.
It is.
I really
and
do.
I mean that's not some clickbaity.
No,
it really is. It's,
genuinely
you're less stressed. Therefore your clients are chilling.
Yeah, having a good time.
Yes, you're not boxed in. You can explore.
Everybody's feeling inspired. Everyone's feeling encouraged. Yeah. I mean, it's like
hey, we all like to do this.
Yeah.
And to go, wait, look, I want not a question, but I know I would want to ask this.
Yeah.
Are you a DP who has fads, kicks? This year is this. This month is this. I saw this movie. I want to go down this road. I do as a director.
Sure.
I do as a director.
Sure.
I get not bored, but I want to try something new, or I feel weak in a certain area, so I want to go hit it hard and really own into it.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, for sure. Like right now I feel like I need and want to work on more like beauty commercial looks. And that's something that I'm like trying to figure out of like writing fun little spec scripts and like, okay, what's a good like Doritos commercial? Like how can I really light that beautifully while still having a little bit of vibe? But in all of that, when I've definitely had fads where like I feel like I lost myself in it and then it became pointless. And then I had to come back and be like, what can I, because I was going so much into just recreating other people's work. Like there's like,
oh, of course.
Like,
no, I'm talking about a fad like, say you're all studio, lights. I'm going to shoot natty light for the next 3 months.
I think I try to just find the parameters where that works and experiment. And like if it's like, do it once, don't do it for every job. Like there's no need to do it, and so,
beat it in. Yeah,
but I feel like, sometimes when I do that, like specifically, I'm just trying to emulate other people. Like I see a piece of work and I'm like, that's incredible. I want to try and do that. And sometimes if I push too far forward, that's what I'm saying. I lose myself and then I'm just recreate. Like
I did that. That's
Yeah.
what I'm trying to tell you. I'm just an older version of you. I don't know where they are. There they are. I'm just an older version. You got to not do that.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
There has to be ownership, and that's good to know that it's not, because it's coming or it will. Now, do you think it's important then? Do you think it's important as a DP to have a visual style? Because
that's a fun question.
And to cast or to be a broader strokes DP, so that you can, because today's world, man, you can reach out to everybody. What is that net you want to cast out?
Yeah.
That I drive a Lamborghini down this very narrow road, knowing that nobody's on it. I can go, not a problem.
Yeah.
Or, Jack, where do you say on that as a young DP?
Yeah, I think at first I was hesitant to have a style because I was like, I don't want to get boxed in. I don't want people to think of me as one thing. Because I had heard from people, it's like, once you're a music video DP, it's all you're going to do. And I was like, well, that sounds terrifying because I want to make movies.
Not true. Not true.
Sure.
Not
but
true.
I had heard that and then I was scared. So then I was like, oh, I can't have a style. And so then I would do this thing where I would just do one thing like this and do one and then post it all over. And then I felt scattered and I was like, the words of, Bilbo Baggins, I was like, too little of bread or too little of butter spread across bread. Like I felt too thin. Like there was nothing, I didn't have anything to latch onto. So like, then I kind of came back and was like, okay, well, Paul Myers is a phenomenal, incredible DP. I don't need to, there's already a Paul Myers.
Love Paul. We talked about Paul.
Yeah, he's incredible. I don't need to be another Paul. Like, there's already one Paul. I need to be Tyler.
Exactly.
Like, there's
Sit at your
just
table
not
in your seat.
There's not another Tyler Oaks. That's where I need to be. And so finding what that means to me as an artist and like as a cinematographer, like that's where I need to live rather than trying to, you know, I can do, you know, beauty commercial and I
like
enjoy
where you're at right now creatively.
Yeah.
I'm inspired by where you are, to be honest with you. I
appreciate that.
I like it. I kind of went back to maybe 27.
Yeah.
That's a good year. I mean, you know what I mean? You're figuring it out, but you got a lot of brush strokes. But I would ask you something.
Yeah.
Going into any job, in using painter's terms as a reference, what are the 3 brushes you must have?
So I'll kind of spin it back. During middle school, did charcoal and pastel. So I like to think of it as charcoal pencil, regular charcoal chalk, and then pastel. So it's like, you know, I love to create that base of shadow. I love to light the space and create the depth in the shadow and create the midtones to kind of separate. So you do your, you know, a nice charcoal spread. You kind of blend where you want the highlights to eventually be, right? You create the dimensions. Then you kind of take your charcoal pencil and you kind of start to shape out where you kind of want broad strokes. Then you start to get really specific and then you come in with the highlights. And that's kind of how I approach, you know, lighting scenes is I light the space first. I want the whole thing to feel so organic.
You kind of look from a wide.
Yeah,
from a wide
I think
lens,
of it. Yeah, but I want wherever they go, it's the world. I'm not going to tell an actor they have to sit specifically on this X if they feel so inclined for the story to walk towards this bar and come back. I don't want the director to be like, oh, okay, great. And I have to be like, oh, well, hold on. I haven't actually lit that. Like, I want to create the world. It feels more real. It feels more alive. And so in that same way, I love to start with this base and this creating the shadows and where I want the stuff to eventually, these pockets. I think about it. I live with, you know, if it's a script, I live with the story and figure out where that's going to be, or the artist and the song, and figure that out. And then I start to piece those specifics together, and then I start to blend in the highlights. But yeah, I never, you know, I don't know too many brush terms.
Well, no, I mean it like, I don't, meaning, I loved your answer. But if you were to ask me that, I would say strong locations.
Sure. Yeah. No, I see.
You know
I
what
like
I'm saying?
where you're
what
going.
Are the 3 things like you? I need my monitor.
Yeah.
I need my monitor that I bought for $7,000 that sits in my suitcase. It comes with me.
Yeah.
I need first class flight because I need to sleep. I need. Well, I mean, whatever. I was just a fun little joke thing.
Sure.
I wanted to.
Yeah. No,
to
I mean,
see.
I think that's it's cool. I think like it would first start for me. It's like my gaffer that's my partner.
That relationship.
It's huge. It's everything to me.
My second one was Troy.
Yeah.
Your second, Troy, to locations. Just so you know, you fall second to locations.
Poor Troy.
But he was there. Trust me. He's number 1 on my phone though.
Oh, there you go. That's a big honor.
Okay, I got. You know what? Just recently, I did a job with Dylan.
Okay. Yeah.
And it was really cool because he was like, yo, so I'm doing something now. I wanted to throw it by you and see what you think. And I wanted to ask you what you thought.
Okay.
As a DP, do you think having an operator shoot for you that you know, your buddies, like your gaffer, like he just gets you?
Yeah.
He does things that even surprises you. That's like, yes.
Yeah.
But it frees you up. It frees you up to look at it from a different perspective, to look at it from a monitor, not being in here. It allows you to collaborate in real time with director. Yep, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
You know? Or, because you're young, you still gotta paint. You still gotta move, you know? Yeah. What do you say?
That's a good question. I love the relationship between a DP and an operator. I think it's wildly important. And like on features, you know, like the one that I'm doing in October, I have an operator on. But part of me can't help but be right there with it, especially on those really emotional scenes where it's like, you know, I've sat with the script for a long time, you know, with the director, right? You know, I have created relationships with the actors and so the characters, right? And so it's like, sometimes I really want to get in there and just be with it. You know, it's call back to, you know, Walter Mitty, you know, when he's with Sean and he's just like, sometimes if I like a moment too much, I like to just sit and be in it. And that's kind of how I view it. Sometimes I like to just be there and be in it and just sit with it. But I think that there's always a time and a place for operators, you know, and there's a time to have yourself be freed up, to be able to look around and pay attention to little nuance and stuff and not have to be so focused in on horizon.
Now, you've done movies, right?
Yeah, I've done a few.
That's crazy. So young too.
Yeah, I did. I did one when I was 18. I didn't finish it out. You know, it really hit a rough snag.
Okay.
That was a huge learning curve. And then I BCAM operated in second unit DP'd 2 films. One was called Desperados. The other one was called, like It's Either a Gift of Murder, Psycho Sweet 16. It was a Lifetime movie.
Oh, yeah? Well, hey, movies are movies, bro.
Yeah, and then I did this movie with Maxim Jago in Boston called It's Haunted. And it was just he and I and the actors for 2 weeks, and it was just natural light, just playing around, and that was great. And then I did The Bigfoot Trap, and then I did the series, The County Rescue, and that was last summer. Oh. Yeah.
So, what's on the horizon for you? Do you feel like you want to relocate ever, or move to a city that might have Atlanta,
sure,
LA, that has something more commercials, you know, that are running?
I think about it all the time.
You know,
it's
because like there's a buddy of mine, he's a DP who's wildly gifted, Blake McClure.
Oh, dude, I love Blake so much. He's unbelievable.
So, I'm gonna talk about that story in a second, but talk about having a seat at your table.
Yeah.
Blake has his look.
Yeah.
And that guy puts lights in places I don't see lights going, and it doesn't look like a light was there. Anyway, he was a part of a directing team when I moved here, and we, you know, for the longest time, he was like, "Yo," so we were hanging out. We were inseparable friends.
Yeah.
And he was like, "So when am I gonna DP for you?" I'm like, "You're not. When you're a director,
right?
You're a director."
Yeah.
And he wasn't, though. You know, he really enjoyed elements of it, but he was a DP. You know,
yeah.
And I remember having the conversation. I'm like, "You need to get to LA. Yeah. You need to go."
Yeah.
And not too long after. I mean, I think he did. I mean, dude.
Yeah. I think it was. Yeah, when we got coffee, I think it was like 2012.
But I mean, he did. He started off in videos.
Yeah.
Hell, he started off gaffing and PAing on The Castle or whatever. You know, Robert Redford and Coen Brothers, and you know, his story is very inspiring. I say that because as we segue into possibly, you know, we said about 30 minutes ago, Nashville is a bustling city for sure, and there's a lot of music going on here.
Yeah,
and the music, in my opinion, it used to be a stepping stone. Music videos, you know. Now I don't even know what it is. Sure. But you would go into music videos, get your chops up, learn stuff, and then you just transition into commercials. Or if you had a script, you'd move into movies.
Yeah,
kind of what it was.
Yeah.
I've always loved commercials.
Yeah,
I even tailored a lot of our early work to be like, okay, we'll do videos for these bands, but yet we'll make them look like these spots, and then we'll get working, you know? Never worked.
Yeah.
I never really made the splash into spots.
Yeah.
So are you thinking that possibly moving to a city where you can, you know,
I think so. I mean, it's so hard because right now the industry is changing so much. You know, it's like there's so much going on in it. Like the easy answer is LA, right? You're like, that's where everything is.
Sure.
But is it going to be? Are we in this transition period where it's moving away from LA? You know, it's LA is so saturated and it's become so hard to shoot there and nothing's really shot there. And there's so many people leaving LA that I'm like, okay, do I be patient?
I wouldn't move to LA. You couldn't pay me money to go back to that city.
Yeah.
I'll put that right now on this camera.
There you go.
Sorry, I can't.
Sure. Yeah. And
I'll
so
work there.
like,
I'll go fly in there, do a job, blah, blah, blah. I can't live there.
Yeah.
God.
Yeah.
Jesus.
But I think it's like, so right now it's like, it's married and I have to think about my wife and her career. It's like, if I want to make a move, like I can't just be like, okay, here we go. Like there's still two people and my career does not come above hers in any way. So it's like, I have to be very judicious about thinking about these things and giving enough heads up and like talking with her. And it's like, is this something that you even want to do? Like there's a list of cities that we can't move to just because like when I got married, I accepted the fact that there was always going to be sacrifices and I would never change a thing about that whatsoever.
No, I mean, and I think today's climate, I asked that question because you can, well, I don't know. I mean, DPs are a little different. You can't really just fly in and do a job, I guess. I mean, you can.
Yeah, it's definitely much trickier.
Yeah. But nowadays, you got Atlanta only 4 hours away. So
no, I would love to tap in. It's just the union there is so tight, and they really
that's the IATSE.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Explain
the 600.
That.
Yeah, so the 600 has got a ton of different. The East, Central, West, right? Mm-hmm. Atlanta, because of what it is very specifically like almost just Atlanta.
Is it?
It's its own kind of entity. So you have to really live in Atlanta to work in Atlanta. So
really?
That's at least in the union stuff. They're very specific, and I understand. I'm bummed, but I respect the hell out of it. Like they are very hardcore. It's like this is the city we're in. These are the projects here. We're gonna have the people here work on these projects, and I think that's sick because it does bum me out when productions fly in DPs from all over to shoot in Nashville, and I'm like, there are so many talented people here that can do this. It's
too many.
Yeah, and so it's like let them do it. It's just people have preconceived notions about London, New York, LA, and they don't give a chance. They don't give anyone here kind of a chance for that, and that bums me out. So as much as I am bummed about Atlanta being so specific, I do really respect it.
Yeah, I do. Now, so what's going on with agents? That's got to be. I mean, so if you're not going to leave,
sure.
You know,
it's an
so then you
ever-present.
get one in a city so they can do the reach for you. Is that one of the goals?
I think so. It's just
Europe,
to have
international
someone,
or whatever.
Yeah, I think it's my perspective is to have someone who's got my back on stuff. I'd love to sign with a smaller agency where I'm not at the bottom of a list of 100 other wildly talented DPs.
Yeah, I know you want to have boutique.
Yeah, I want to have someone where I know if I text them, like we're gonna have conversations. They're gonna want to hear me out on where I want to go. What do I want to grow in? What kind of opportunities am I looking for? So, I've got a couple movies coming up. I want to really sit with those and give them everything that I've got, and I want to see kind of how that goes, and then start to have those conversations of like I want to do some projects that I'm wildly proud of, that are hard, that I feel like I've put everything into. See how that goes, see where that lands, how I feel, and then I feel like I'll have a more, educated idea of what I want that relationship to be, But I do really, as, for the future, I would love to work in movies and then do commercials in between. And then work on music videos with either the director that I really love or an artist that I really love.
Yeah. Do you feel like some of the struggles you deal with as a DP, the anxieties when the phone isn't ringing, is because it's something we as creatives put upon ourselves to fill in the time? I
think so.
You know what I mean? Like we get bored.
Yeah.
Because if you're really fulfilled with what you're creating, I don't know. I wanted to dive into that one more because I feel like I relate to that.
Yeah, well, and I guess I would love to spin that on you. And it's like, especially when you transitioned from a lot of music videos into the photo world, like when that happened in that transitionary period, like what was that like for you specifically? Like because transitions in any type are so hard. Like it's so
taking the jump to even do it.
Yeah,
is the hardest part.
Yeah. So then alongside that jump, when things were slow as it was going, like what was that like for you? Like, did you feel because I feel like that it's just like that need to create it. It's never fulfilling because we never feel fulfilled.
Yeah,
So like, what
that
was that
the
like
reason
for you?
photography got.
Yeah.
I got back into photography was because I wasn't directing enough.
Yeah.
I got to the point where I wanted to direct every, do something every week,
Yeah.
and I couldn't.
Sure.
But with photo, I could.
Yeah. It's so much more intimate.
Absolutely.
You can really
and
just
immediate.
grab camera, take the subject and go rip.
And, the director that I am a very visual director. I'm a visual director more than I am a concept director. Even though I do tell stories, I really get into the visual side of it.
Heck yeah.
So photography really, once I got into it, it just took on a life of its own inside of me. You know what I mean?
That's sick.
But and I knew exactly what kind of photography I wanted it to be.
Okay.
Because my videos were of certain size and crew and stuff.
Yeah.
I wanted the photos to be me and the artist.
Yeah.
Just simple. So I had to quickly develop that. So I would call up artists and go on tour with them.
Yeah.
Big artists.
Nice. Yeah.
And just artists I did videos on.
Yeah.
And be like, yo, I'm coming on the road with you. Cool, boom, go on the road. And I would develop the reel. I still don't deal with the downtime that great, to be honest with you. I keep busy.
Sure.
I do know that. I know I don't blame myself anymore in the downtime.
That's great.
That's key.
That's huge.
To finally,
I have not figured that out yet.
To finally know. Dude, I can say this for probably 95% of the people who would ever maybe listen to this. It's not you.
Yeah. Yeah.
We think it is.
100%.
Hell yeah. The world doesn't give a shit about you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Especially
100%.
every waking second that your brain is going,
It's
I just did this, I did this, I did this, I did this, I did this. No one's caring. You know what I mean? They're barely caring about their own lives.
Yeah,
let
it's
alone,
crazy to think that other human beings are constantly thinking specifically about you.
Exactly. So I have developed that skill to just know.
That's great.
It doesn't make it any easier. No. I just now go cut the yard. I'll go perfect something. I'll go work with my hands. I'll go exercise. I'll go do something. Or, just be with the family. But
that's smoking a cigar and hanging out with my wife for me. It's like, it's those two. It's like if I need to be alone, it's sitting with a cigar for 45 minutes and just zoning out. Or it's pulling back from the work and realizing that I have this huge other part of my life that is so much more important to me than the work. And sometimes I get so tunnel visioned in that it's like, I haven't hung out with Fee for like a week at night. Mm-hmm. And going back to that and just like really grounding myself in that like I will always choose her over work. And it's like not losing sight of that, remembering what's important.
Yeah.
But I've not gotten good about not really, taking it personally.
Here's one thing that I think that you might drive home in your brain.
Sweet.
I've learned that a lot of my anxiety in this business is a cause of only one small thing. And if you can find that one thing and start to alter it, you won't have it.
Yeah.
It's the fact that we don't have any control.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're just here to provide an insanely lucrative service.
Yeah.
And we just don't have the money tree to wave, or we're not being called upon when we want it.
Yeah.
We don't have control.
Yeah.
We don't make the decisions.
Yeah. 100%. Oh, yeah. Not even a little bit.
That's me.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, is that everything I'm doing, the results have zero control. I guess someone could be like, well, no, your video, you controlled it to the end. I don't mean that. I just mean like getting work, and I can give you a laundry list of jobs I wish I got, I didn't get, I was up for, you didn't get it. I would have changed a lot. Shit.
Yeah.
But I'm getting better with understanding that it's the lack of, so I start to find control in my life. I start I'll go work out. I'll go do things to better that. Man, one thing I learned from this conversation is that you remind me of me. You really do. You really do. A lot of the weird, interesting little introspective things I can relate to.
Yeah.
You know, I know we touched on a lot of things. I wonder where. Oh, you know, I did wonder one thing.
Yeah.
Real quick, I do.
Yeah. Let's do it.
You know, because this is on that kind of moment we were just talking about.
Yeah.
We spend all this freaking time
Yeah.
and energy and sacrifice getting good at something.
Yeah.
And then learning it. And you get these little milestone things.
Yeah.
And it seems like with today's world, since we're living to these algorithms and codes and datas that are making the decisions, not humans going, I like that, I don't like that. Not, you know, I mean, it's more numbers generated. Oh no, what was I going to say? I forgot it. Oh, yes. We're having to learn something constantly new to promote our work.
Sure.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, I was a director. I was a photographer. Now I'm a business owner, podcast host, marketing, branding, like copyright.
Yeah.
And now, the point of this question,
Yeah.
AI.
Oh, yeah, there we go.
Right here, watch this one. Right here. Blake McClure showed me. Blake sent me this, loves to send me this stuff.
Yeah.
Because I'm a Fincher, David Fincher freak.
Heck yeah.
He is
Heck
too.
yeah. Love that.
You know.
Yeah.
Shit, we can go into Fincher for days.
Yeah, that'd be a rabbit hole.
I don't know what leads me to all these conversations, but anyway, he sent me this stuff, and it's better than anything you would do. You know what I mean? Like, and he typed it, and, and it was moving, and it was on his laptop, and he said it took a little time to process, but you know, where do you stand? I mean, we learn all these things. You get good at lighting. You get good at this. You get your contacts. You get now everybody's just going to be on anxiety.
Yeah, of course.
Jesus.
I mean, the amount of like, I have this conversation with everybody. I'm part of like a cinematography like group called Growth and Co, and that is a topic conversation constantly. Is like, there's some people who are like, it's never going to replace us because we're artists, and then there's some who just go,
I don't care.
It will get completely replaced and our job will never, or will disappear. I'm kind of in the middle where I think that there are certain jobs that will go away. Like me, not even like editors or VFX, just like sure. And I think that there's a middle ground of like, you know, if you are just doing a Coke commercial where it's just the bottle on crazy background,
of course,
they're definitely going to replace that stuff.
Of course.
And are the Prestons, you know, and all those like with focusing, like, you know, that stuff's here already. I was talking to CK about this, and they had mentioned someone, he was on a job and he had turned the Preston on just to snap in, and the director was like, oh, I didn't like that. It was too fast. It was too sharp. I wanted to fall into it. And I was like, okay.
Wow, here we are.
Here we are. The human want for this error. Like, there's this idea of error that we love because it's what makes us us. It's like this idea of perfection is scary because we can never be perfect. So we don't like we love the organicness of humanity. And I think that in all of this, I've seen that theme be very ever present of even as technology gets super good, it's too perfect. Like, maybe we want it to not feel just absolutely right. And I think that that's something that like I love about Deakins is just the way that he approaches projects. It's like, it's so just raw and real. And like some of my favorite of his work is just the parts where it's just so human. It's not perfectly me, like ratio, like there's blown wind. Like, it's not, if you might tell AI to make the perfect image, it's like, it's probably all balanced perfectly. And there's just this, there's something left out of it, and it's us. And so that's kind of where I see us.
But are you a hopeless romantic?
Probably. I think I'm an artist, so there's 1,000%.
Because the way you said it, I was like, yeah,
right. And
but,
I think
I'm slammed back into. Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping.
Yeah.
I you know what I'm hoping for? I shouldn't say it. I hope I'm running through the window and the door shuts, or the window shuts behind me before I have to deal with it. But it's coming.
Absolutely. And I think that, there's ways for us to learn about it. And there's times and places like, you know, like when digital cinematography came around, right? It's not like Kodak disappeared.
That was me saying it's not going to replace film. It's
Yeah.
never going to replace film. It replaced film.
Yeah, but not completely. There's
No, you
still
have the
such
choice.
a huge,
You have the
there's
choice.
still such a huge, so it's like we've always adapted and overcome, you know, and I think that we will continue to do so. I think the people who refuse to be open to it and look forward, and the people who see it as, you know, a hindrance rather than as a tool are the people who are going to have the hardest time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Now, have you dabbled in film?
Not yet. It's something that, you know,
Okay, there we go.
this is a year that I would really love to. There's a director who she and I want to do some stuff on 16. You know, I meter all my work as if it's film. And
but-
so like that approach
But you're
is
going to find those flaws.
yeah, and I'm excited to explore
Yeah.
that. And I think that that's like I'm so pumped. I'm so pumped about that just because
Talk about
it's
it.
such a
That's
specific
cool.
art form and it's a different approach. You have to be so. I love the precision of cinematography. I like especially when shooting film, it's like you got to know what you're doing.
Absolutely.
Because
kid.
you got 400 feet, you got 11 minutes. You can't just be tossing rolls out left and right. Like you have to know. So that requires you to do a little prep and talk with the director.
I said to one of the podcasts, I said on a POD video, it was Chris Prost.
Yeah.
And we were shooting 35.
Yeah.
And for whatever, we were shooting short ends. Mm-hmm. And it was a night shoot, so nothing was open. And and we had like 400 feet left to shoot a good amount.
Yeah.
Decent amount.
Yeah.
And we were literally like doing a vignette where a girl was crying and screaming while the boyfriend is screaming at her in the car. It was like a scene. I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah. That's tough.
Really, of course. So I'm like, you have to get them up to speed, the talent first. So you're getting them going. It sounded like someone's getting murdered.
Yeah.
And they're like, I'm like, okay, yes, they're at peak. Roll. You
Yeah.
know, and they're like, cut. You know, you got to get it up to speed.
Yeah.
And then cut.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, the old you don't even, we learned it from Sam Bayer.
Okay.
Sam Bayer is one of the godfathers of music videos. It just smells like Teen Spirit and everything else.
Oh,
but
okay.
anyway, you would take 35 down Metallica until it sleeps or whatever. You would shoot 35.
Yeah.
16 gate didn't work as well, or maybe the SR3 might have done it, but definitely the 35.
Yeah.
It was a thing when you finally graduated to 35. You're like, yeah, this is cool. You know, I mean, it was a thing. You got a higher ranking when you finally were like,
Yeah.
Anyway, you would roll the camera and you would do your action. It would be like someone doing something trippy or whatever.
Yeah.
And you would literally go. Zzz, zzz. So you would go. You would get it up.
Yep.
Get it low.
Yep.
Allow light in.
Yep.
So it would bloom. It would go, and the talent
that's
would go fast.
That's
while
sick.
having a light leak.
That's sick.
And they would move real quick. So you see it on Marilyn Manson videos.
What's it says?
You would just, it was really organic, and you didn't know what you got. It didn't show back on that
sick.
crappy ass playback.
Yeah.
You know, and you had to learn, and that's when you get like your seasoned DPs. You're like, they know how to do the dials on the dial to get the light to go. You know, the light leak.
Oh
and
yeah.
like
Well, there's that Kings of Leon video.
Yeah.
That Nick worked on, and I love that.
See,
It's
Nick is
so-
exploring the film
Yeah.
in all the ways
It's
that
so
I
sick.
relate to.
Yeah.
Back in the
It's
day,
so
it's
sick.
just well done shooting. Yeah, I'm so proud of
Dude, it rips.
Yeah,
It's so sick.
It's a fun thing. So you got film on your mind. Maybe that's one of the things that can, you know, that you're looking for a little not calling, right? But you know, something a little.
Yeah, I would love
different,
to, and it's like
definitely to sink your teeth into.
absolutely. I would just love to understand it's such a huge part of cinematography and foundation.
Humor. Buy yourself like a not a Bolex. No, that's stupid. How much are SR2s?
I don't know. I can
It
look
can't
into
be
it.
that crazy.
No, if I
And
buy here's the
imagine.
thing: if I buy another camera, my wife might kill me.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, I would love to just dive in because it is only going to inform my work. I'm only going to learn
I
from
mean,
it.
look at you. You're all jazzed. I mean, at least find a way to implement it into your eye. Shoot digital stills or something and start to like, oh, you know. I'm trying to figure out what I would do if I were you. I kind of did. I panicked.
Yeah,
I had that SR.
I've been panicking.
I had that. Don't. You're good.
I'm not gonna lie to you.
No, you can't. I mean, don't. What are you panicking about?
What am I panicking about? I think that
Not enough work?
that's big. I don't think not enough work because my ego isn't being fulfilled. I think it's not enough work for bills because it's expensive. But I think part of me is worried that, because I'm young, I'm worried that I'm an imposter. Like, there's such talented people, and I have that imposter syndrome of, like, was I really only getting hired because there was not enough work to go around and someone needed someone? Like, that was, and because then when things do get really slow and then I don't get calls, that anxiety just gets reinforced, right? But again, that's not a correlation. That's something that I've created in my head, but there's no stopping me from thinking of that at 2 a.m. in the morning.
Of course not. But I will say this, a lot of DPs, and I talk to a lot, one of the biggest struggles is getting out of rotation.
Yeah.
You don't want to get out of rotation while you're in one with the director.
Yeah.
You go on runs. You go on an 8-9 run kick. This is great. This isn't forever because directors are crazy and they're nutty and they want different kicks and different things, and you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And they're allowed that as well.
Absolutely.
It's really just I think for you, because I can relate to so much of what you're saying. That's why I keep talking about it, because I feel like I'm getting something out of it myself in a way.
Yeah.
Because it's fresh on my mind too.
Sure.
It's fresh on everybody's freaking mind. I mean, it is what it is. But man, I would lean in on that film for some reason. I just saw your eyes light up. I saw some excitement, and that's what you're doing it for. I mean, you can do it at a cost too.
Sure.
Just find a way to figure it out.
Well, I mean, there's so many. All the rental houses here, they're all so kind, and I know a couple have offered to let me go out and test and learn. And so now it's on me.
What we'll do is we'll do a job, Troy. And we're gonna put some fucking film in it.
Can you find that budget for us?
We're gonna get some film in this.
Yeah.
Man, thank you so much for being here.
Dude,
I had a blast.
Same. This was great.
I mean, we haven't even talked about. Oh man, David Fincher. Real quick, who's your favorite director?
Denis. It's just the way that he approaches story, the way that he informs, insert shots. I'm such a wide dude. Like, I love wide shots. And you look at all my work, and I love wide shots.
So if you can make a wide work, you've done something.
But like, there's such a place for those very specific close-ups, and not even close-ups, inserts. And for a while, I always fought it. I was like, no, we don't need to telecast. But I was not giving it enough credit. And so the way that Denis will just add these inserts to create either tension, world building, informed character. Like, it's stunning. It's stunning, specifically on Prisoners.
I love that movie.
Yeah.
I love that movie.
Yeah, it's insane. I remember watching it for the first time and going to my parents.
How important is color to you?
Color?
It seems to be pretty big in your work.
Yeah.
I was drawn to a lot of your palettes.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I have a palette that I work with.
Yeah,
often.
for sure.
But I really have been lately trying to let go of that and open my perspective. Because again, I don't think that one specific LUT or conversion, whatever, is for everything. It's like,
every time I do it, though, I'm like,
oh, you always kind of, I'll try something new. Nope, I'm go right back.
Not gonna work.
Yeah, no, I does that all the time. But yeah, no, I mean, it's impossible to. I try to release that control and just really embrace something new and try to have fun. But there's always that part of me that's like, this old LUT's pretty sweet.
Man, I'm going to get you on my next job. I can't wait to have you,
dude,
bro. Thank you so much. We're going to have a blast.
Dude,
and we're going to shoot some film, Troy.
There we go.
Thank you, man.
Dude,
thank you.
Thank you.